Pennsylvania. Professionally, he's a mechanical engineer. For 20 years, he worked for the DuPont Corporation. He was involved in many aspects, including sales, marketing, and strategic planning. Eventually, he left that esteemed organization to form a webinar corporation, which is quite successful, and he did what all business owners do: we sell the business. And he's been quasi-retired ever since then. He has set up an organization that I should read. He is a co-founder and president of the Family Promise of Southern Chester County. Their mission is to alleviate homelessness in families. And it's a lot of work, more than time will permit me to speak. You've known me for now, what, about 5 years, 6 years I've been coming to meet with you. And I will tell you that this fellow is a gentleman, and he does good work. And it's a pleasure to be working with him. Your governor, Dave Haradon.
Every word of Dave.
Those are kind words. So that was really nice. Thank you. Can we acknowledge Paul? Thanks for being Rotarians. So, this is a great organization that we've got here. In fact, now let me ask you a question. How many members do you think are in Rotary worldwide?
1.2 is.
That's pretty good. All the answers are going to be up here today, so we're going to make this real easy. It's the holidays. We don't want anybody thinking too hard here today. Yeah, there's 1.25 million people around the world doing pretty much what we're doing right here. They're having a meal, they're talking with each other, they're networking, and they're having conversations around how they can make their communities a better place to live. That's amazing to me. And we're doing it every week. It's not like we're meeting every month or once a year. Once a week, 1.25 million people around the world are doing this over lunch, dinner, breakfast, some meeting in bars and having a few beverages associated with it. But ultimately, their conversations are around making the world a better place in their local communities as well as around the world. That is an extraordinary thing when you really think about it. We are about 111 years old now, and so we really haven't been doing it that long in the total stream of world history. 1.25 million people, same conversations all around the world. We've actually got, how many clubs do you think we have?
35,000.
Very good. Okay, you're learning.
We can all read numbers. But there used to be 32 or 33,000.
That's right.
With 1.3 million members. So the membership has dropped and the amount of clubs has increased.
That's to some degree correct. There's different parts of the country where there have been growth, not necessarily in North America, but there is good growth worldwide for this fine organization. We in the United States are kind of a mature organization, and so like any organization, we're sometimes challenged by growth ourselves to keep things going and making a difference in people's lives by virtue of joining this organization. So yes, you're exactly correct. Now, how many districts are there around the world? 535. Okay, you guys are getting good at this. Yeah, there's 535 districts around the world, and so that means there's also 535 district governors. And I've had the opportunity to frankly meet every one of them. They bring us all together once a year to kind of go through a training program out in San Diego. And so I have 535 business cards that my granddaughter is currently putting on a big world map so she understands where people are around in the world. So it's a lot of fun. So we're an extraordinary organization. Here's what our district actually looks like. So if you kind of think, we have 51 clubs within our district. Now, a typical district has got anywhere from, say, 40 up to about 70 clubs. And there's districts, of course, 535 of them around the world. This is where we're located. So we stem all the way from Chester County. By the way, I'm located down at the Longwood Gardens Rotary Club down here. And then we go all the way up north to the north side of Philadelphia, all the way up to the Twin Valley area, down around the airport, down around Chester. So you can see we're scattered around, just looking at the dots, pretty darn well. In terms of population. Actually, it's a fairly dense population of Rotary clubs that we've got. We divide ourselves into 9 different areas. So just from a management standpoint, we have areas within a district. So you've got clubs, then you've got areas within a district, and then the district itself. And so Paul, for example, represents one of the district. Every area, rather, is represented by an assistant governor to really just kind of help the clubs be more successful. Our assistant governors are coaches, as it were, for the club presidents. They've been through the game, and so they understand what it takes to, and all the challenges and all the benefits of being a president of a Rotary club. And so our assistant governors are really there to kind of help them do that. In addition to that, we also have 13 Rotaract clubs around the district as well. They extend all the way down from Lincoln University, down in the southwestern part of our district, and all the way up to Manor College. And that is continuing to grow very well. So we're seeing those 13 clubs do really well. We also have actually within that 13, 2 young professional clubs, meaning people who are typically 30 and under, have been out of college but are now out in the community. We actually have 2 of those located in Kennett Square and another one in downtown Philadelphia. So that's doing real well, and you are Rotarians as well. You said to me earlier, Hong, that you were not a Rotarian, that you were a Rotaract person. Well, you are a Rotarian, okay? So welcome to Rotary. Let's acknowledge our youth here that's doing great.
Thank you.
And we look forward to those interviews this afternoon as well.
After we're full.
After we're full. So here's where our district is positioned in the world of districts in our area. As you can see, it's a relatively compact district that we got. So assuming there's no SEPTA strike, I can drive from one end to the other in about an hour and a half. So it's a really fairly dense and compact district that we got. There are districts in New Jersey. So there are actually 5 districts up and down New Jersey. And then you can see the districts that are located around us, and there's also some districts down in Maryland as well as Delaware. Really, there's almost every piece of earth that's not covered by a Rotary district in some way. So we're actually part of what's called an area or a zone. So if you take, let me go back one. So we've got about 30 districts around us there, and so we are actually part of a zone. So you've got clubs, you've got districts, and then on top of that, organizationally, you have zones. We are part of Zone 32, which is on the northeast part of the United States. Again, high population density, so you can see we're relatively compressed. There's about 30 districts within that particular zone. About the same number of clubs, and likewise out in the west. And this kind of looks like a political map, doesn't it? We've got blue states and red states, but you can see that these are all different zones. So the same number of clubs and districts also exist out in the Midwest, but there's a lot of mountainous areas, a lot of prairie dogs out there, etc. But you can kind of get a feel for where Rotary fits in the United States and in North America. Now, we also partner, in addition to with our Zone 32, we partner with another zone, which is kind of interesting how they drew this out. So here's the northeast United States. We are actually down here on this with Zone 32, which actually goes all through Canada, Alaska, and the Soviet Union. So I have the opportunity as the district governor of being in communication with those people all around that area, which is really an extraordinary thing when you think about it. Because I'm in communication with these folks pretty much at least on a weekly basis. And my good friend Mikkel, who is a district governor in Siberia, that's where he lives, he and I communicate 2 or 3 times a week about just what's going on. And I've come to know him very well over the last several years. And he's a great friend of mine, even though he's on the other side of the country, different political system. In fact, about a year ago, he says, "So who is this guy Trump you've got coming online?" I said, "Oh my gosh, all right, let me try to explain that to you." And of course I said to him, "Who's this guy Putin you've got going on over there?" So we have these conversations about each other's culture, our political systems, etc. But at the end of the day, Mikkel and I have a lot of conversations around how do we grow our organization, how do we make our communities a better place. He lives in Siberia, as I said, and he's kind of Western oriented. I guarantee his English is much, much better than my Russian, for sure, because I have 0 Russian. But you know, through the technology and the like, you go on Google and Google Translate, and you can understand each other's language very easily. Yes, sir?
We have a Siberian right here, Vladimir.
Exactly, Vladimir, exactly. So he and I met the first time at the Gundaker meeting and had marvelous conversations. My buddy Mikkel lives in Siberia. He's a very Western oriented, as I said. And I tell him, you know, there's still the Soviet Guard over there pretty much rules Russia. But they say, keep your head down and don't get into too much trouble over there. And he says to me, well, what are they going to do? Send me to Siberia? I already live here, right? So anyway, it's marvelous that you can be in communication with a fellow Rotarian, having the same conversation in Russia, in China, in Japan, all over the world. It's the same conversation, and it's really amazing when you think about it. So that's kind of how we're structured. Here's how the our district looks like organizationally. So can you read that? Okay, kind of blow it up a little bit for you. So we have a board of directors. The board of directors is led by the district governor. There's also the district governor-elect and the district governor nominee. Dawn DeFuria will be district governor after me. She'll begin her term of office in about 6 months. Very organized. Her husband was a district governor in this area about 10 years ago. So she's just now getting started in January with a whole new crop of presidents. Who's following you, Rick? Do you know yet? Do you know who's going to follow you as president?
Maybe Gabe Spector.
Oh, good. Okay.
Really?
All right. Was that a new announcement?
Dave knew it? Does Dave know this?
Dave knows this.
We're gonna bring it to him gently.
It's going to have to be soon because Gabe's going to be getting together with the other 51 presidents here first part of January to begin training and educating for how to help lead this club here and do great things in your community. So Dawn's going to do great. We are in the process of looking for a district governor nominee to follow her. And in fact, that will be selected here in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So that'll be an announcement that will be coming out. We have several good candidates that have submitted their names for that. So there is a nominating committee that will be reviewing that. So that's exciting. We also have board members at large. So you saw the 9 areas that kind of split the district into. And so 3 of those areas are what we call super areas 1. But you all have elected, Paul to be your district representative, a member at large on the board of directors. So you guys elect those. So we have 3 members at large. We have a new secretary, whose name I haven't put up there yet, but Kristen Pongros is her name. She is not a Rotarian, but she's a great administrative assistant for us, and she just started here about a week ago. So she's actually the daughter of Don Hebner, who's done so much for the Rotor-Class program for our district. So she knows Rotary, she knows the systems in it, so we're looking forward to her joining us. And then likewise, we have a treasurer, Gary Zabrowski, who looks after all the funds that we have. So that's kind of what the board of directors looks like. Primarily fiduciary nature is their primary responsibility. We also have, as I mentioned, the governors for each of the separate areas that we have. And then lastly, we've got a whole bunch of programming going on that makes a difference in people's lives. The first one of those, of course, is membership. We have this marvelous young lady named Karen Mazzarella who has done an extraordinary job of helping us grow this organization. I don't know what's going on here. Rick tells me you've got some new members in the offing, but there's a huge amount of growth that's going on in the district in the last year. Karen has worked really hard to help share us and develop membership programs, and so this district is growing very well, and we'll find out how well here at the end of this calendar year, but it's just doing great. We also have youth service. Our district has probably one of the best youth service programs of any district I know of. It starts out with Rotary in the 4th grade with what we call Early Act. There are 2 Early Act clubs in 2 different 4th grade schools in our district. There is the Interact program, which is Rotary in high school. We have 35 plus Interact clubs around our district that involve about 2,000 youth, quite frankly. We have more youth in high school in Rotary than we do Rotarians that are adults in our district, because we've got about 1,500 Rotarians in our district. So that program is doing extraordinarily well. I showed you earlier the Rotaract. We've got 13 Rotaract clubs that are doing, probably got about 600 students in that. We every year send about 10 kids over to 10 youth overseas for a year's experience in a high school in the youth exchange program. We have what's called RYLA, which is an acronym, RYLA, stands for Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. We send about 120 kids to a weekend-long youth leadership camp in Valley Forge every year, and that's an extraordinary experience for them. So you take all that combined, and we're just really doing a great job in terms of bringing our youth into the world of community service, and we should be really proud of what's going on, because it takes a lot of effort by a lot of people to make all that happen. Lastly, we have service. I mean, what's the motto of Rotary? All together now.
Service above
Thank you very
self.
much. Very well done. That's the game we're in. And so we really have not historically had very strong leadership in that regard at a district level. Clubs are all doing great stuff, but we thought we'd try to do something to help coordinate a lot of our service efforts around our district. So I met a guy named Dwight Leeper. Dwight is a past district governor, and he had some great thoughts about what we could do service-wise. So he is in the process of what he calls setting up district action groups. Now, Rotary categorizes their projects really into 6 different areas of focus, as it's called. So those include promoting peace, fighting disease, polio, as well as other diseases, clean water, so that women down in South America don't have to carry water 3 miles every day to be able to bring that back to their families, and examples like that. Even in our own country, like Detroit, had water problems. Water is one of the biggest, the scarcest resources we have in our world, and so Rotary has a whole area of focus just surrounded around bringing water to people. Saving children, supporting education, and growing economies. So he's setting up district action groups in each of those different categories to be able to generate projects that will make a difference in our communities, but do it together and outside of our own local club. So if you've got an idea for a project that you think might impact another part of our district or even somebody else in another part of the world, this is going to be a great idea for bringing people together that have got common interests, common ideas to develop projects that will help in each of these different areas. So he's put a survey out, and I think he's going to issue one more call for that to participate in that survey. He's got about 250 people already signed up for these 6 areas. So I would encourage you, if you'd like to bring in a new project or meet other Rotarians outside of your own club that have a common area of interest, such as one of those that I listed, I would encourage you to sign up for it. I think it's going to really evolve to be an outstanding program for all of us. So that's Dwight, and that's 6 areas of focus. We have a lot of marketing and PR. How many of you are getting emails from Rotary? Yeah, you should. Well, I'm spamming the heck out of you, I know. So I'm sending you a lot of emails. But we do have a lot of marketing and PR efforts associated with Rotary, and quite frankly, Julianne is doing an outstanding job with the articles that she writes for that Wayne publication. They are great articles, so we have a lot of energy going on that. We, of course, have this marvelous thing called the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation assets of about $1 billion with a B, about $1 billion. This last year they crossed that threshold, and so it's a marvelous thing. We just celebrated with our 100th anniversary of that here in our district, and it's just an amazing, perfect foundation. And the reason I call it perfect is because there's this organization called Charity Navigator. And they evaluate all multitudes of foundations around North America, and previously they have rated the Rotary International Foundation at about a 96 out of 100 against various criteria they've got in terms of how they administer funds, the impact they make, etc. But here about 6 months ago, they actually gave us a 100 out of 100 rating for the Rotary International Foundation. So I consider that being a perfect score, so we must be doing something right.
Hear, hear.
This year, we, and I include all of us in that, will donate about $300 million to the Rotary Foundation. Of course, they keep the money for about 3 years, and from that interest that grows into those funds that they invest, they're able to apply all of the money that we give, every bit of it, to some good purpose out there to make a difference. So many foundations these days, or organizations, take administrative costs out, and so the money that's actually donated doesn't make its way there. But the model they've set up is really extraordinary by virtue of them really just investing the money for 3 years before they return it back to us. Of every dollar we give, $1 goes to the World Fund, another dollar basically comes back to our own local communities. So I think the model they put together over the years is really just incredible. And here we are, the first donation that was ever made was $25.50, $26.50. And that was 100 years ago. And here we are 100 years later, not very long when you think about it, and we've got $1 billion in assets. So it's really pretty incredible.
What is the budget for the year, the operational budget?
I would guess this is a guess, because I don't know for a fact. I would guess their operational budget's probably 15 to 20 billion. That's just a pure guess, but I would guess that's what it is.
And what is the payroll? What's the payroll budget, people who work for Rotary?
I don't know. They do issue an annual report, so like and you can go online as part of any nonprofit organization. You get the 990 report, I think it is. And they've got they have a big staff. I mean,
so it's only the staff that are paid, none of the leaders of the districts or.
Right.
No one gets paid,
I don't
only
get
the
a
staff.
dime. Now, in full disclosure, a lot of my expenses are covered, but in terms of income, 1099 or otherwise, no, it's It's amazing that we've got 1.25 million people all doing this for no income. Yeah, it's pretty wild. That's a good question, though. Rotary, I don't know if you've noticed that, but we certainly train the heck out of our club presidents. They train the heck out of me. Rotary spends an incredible amount of money on training, whether it's a member or a leader in our organization. I mean, if you're looking for training in regards to strategic development, how to just lead organizations, how to have time management, how to just lead a better life. I mean, there's no other organization that I know of other than Rotary that invests so much in its people in terms of training for people to just create better organizations, make a bigger difference in the world, and as well as own personal training. They really just invest an incredible amount of money in that, and it shows by virtue of the success that we've had in our organization. There's an administration part I've got, and the Last Acre Foundation. Now, we have our own foundation. Of the 535 districts, there's only 3 districts in the world that has its own foundation. And we're very fortunate in that regard. And we've got a foundation that we named after a guy named Guy Gundaker. And so Guy Gundaker was a Rotary International president back in the early 1900s. And he established a foundation for this particular district here, and it exists to this day. We hand out, I'm going to say, $50,000 to $60,000 a year. Half of that goes for scholarships, and the other half of that goes for just local projects. If you've got a project coming up that you would like to, that you're needing funding for, this is about the easiest money you'll ever get. It's a matching fund, so for every dollar, if you wanted to put in $1,000 for a particular project and needed another $1,000, it's about a 2-page application. You fill that out, and bingo, you've got some money there. It's a really easy way to really grow your project and make a larger impact on your community. And if you need to financially, all you have to do is really apply, and they have, until they run out of money each year, this money's sitting there waiting for you. So thank you for the donations you may have made to it, but more importantly, look at it from the standpoint of being able to help do what you're doing in the community. So we're really blessed to have this thing we call the Gundaker Foundation. So bottom line is, as you can see, there's a lot of people involved at a district level, working with other clubs and working with people around the district to make a difference in all of our communities that we've got around here. There's about 120 to 150 people working to just make all these programs be successful in our local community. If you'd like to see a broader view of Rotary, narrow view. And then eventually you kind of get a wider view, and just like if you turn your camera to the right a little bit, 90 degrees, then you can kind of get a landscape view. And that's when you get a little broader view likewise of Rotary. You start finding about things that we're doing outside the club, maybe with adjacent clubs, maybe within our district. In fact, let me take a landscape picture of all of you guys. So let's get one more action shot here, okay? Ready? Everybody way, we're having a good time. We want new members. Things are going well. Okay. Very good. You guys did that really well. That was good. We'll put that on Facebook as well. But eventually, as is the technology has evolved also, the longer you're in Rotary, you also get what I call this panoramic view of what's going on. And so it is with our technology. We can take these panoramic pictures that are wide in scope. And so when you really get to know the Rotary organization, you find out about all the incredible things we do worldwide in the millions of projects that we do around the world, as well as in our local countries, as well as in our local communities. Rotary is a vast organization, 1.25 million people out there trying to all make a difference in the community. In fact, let me get a panoramic picture of all you guys, because I'm not sure I got everybody in that last one. So I'm going to start over here. You've got these wonderful celebratory banners that you got here. I'm going to get a big wide camera. So this is going to be like going to the Eagles game. When I pan around to you, we're going to do the wave, kind of like that. You know how it goes? Okay, there we go. I'm going to start over here. We're going to start going this way. Everybody wave. We're having a great time. Welcome to Rotary. Oh, you guys are really doing this good. There's Rick over there behind the bright lights. And in fact, I'll go all the way around and capture all of it. Such as it is in Rotary, you get this wide panoramic view of what's going on in Rotary, and you see what an incredible, extraordinary organization we really are. So, having said that, here's the game we're in. What's our motto again? I know you got food in your mouth. All together now? Service above self. That's the game we're in. We're in the game of making a difference in people's lives. And there's no other organization that I know of that does that. One of the reasons I think that's true is because we live in the world of possibility. You know, when you live in the world of possibility, you can create anything you want to. What's the signature project of Bala Cynwyd-Narberth Club? What are you known for? Who else would like to take that question?
Dictionaries at the Wordsworth Academy.
Okay, dictionaries at the Wordsworth Academy. Which academy? How do you say that again? Wordsworth Academy. So at some point in time, somebody had an idea, basically saying, geez, I wonder if we could do X. In this case, I wonder if we could bring a lot of dictionaries to some kids that can really make a difference in their lives. You know, when you consider the possibility of something, that's my phrase that I love. Consider the possibility of ... And when you fill in that blank, it's amazing what you can create. Every project that existed starts with somebody that's got an idea. Geez, I wonder if I could call a couple of my friends, maybe 3 of them up, and we start getting together for lunch, you know, every week, let's say. I wonder what that would look like. And then 111 years later, you've got an organization of 1.25 million people getting together doing the exact same thing. Everything begins with an idea. Everything begins because somebody had an idea and they shared that idea with somebody else, and somebody else shared that idea. It's amazing, the process, and I think that's what Rotary does. We live in this world of possibility that we can create anything we want. When you live in a world of possibility, then the next thing that you really got to think about is how you're going to create some results for somebody. So for example, I've got a good friend of mine. He's an idea guy. His name's Joe. He's in my club. Joe says, well, you know, I'm just an idea guy. Joe's got lots of great ideas. He just doesn't get anything done. And that's okay, because everything starts with an idea. But you take those world of possibilities, and then you get into action with yourself. Get into action, then you can create results. And when you create results, that's when you create impact upon people's lives. The reason that I love new members coming into this organization is because they have the ability to create new impacts for our communities. That means that in order to get new impacts, you've got to start creating new results. And if you want to create new results, that requires new actions, and that requires new ideas. So when we bring new people into this organization, new members that have got those great ideas, it's amazing how if we give them the opportunity to do so, well, it will trickle down to creating some amazing impacts upon people in our community. And that's the game we're in, making a difference in people's lives. So let me ask you this question. Who invited you to join Rotary? Who asked you to join Rotary?
Well, for the Bala Club, it would be Sherm and Tom.
Okay. Tom, who asked you to join Rotary?
Actually, I asked myself, and I found Sherman because my father was a Rotarian, and I thought it was a great organization. So it turned out my friend Sherman was a member of the local club, and he got me into the club a long time ago.
How long ago? Do you remember?
1980.
Do you remember where you were when he asked you?
Oh, no. Well, what do you mean? I was working downtown.
Working downtown? Okay.
The Bala Club met at the Bala Golf Course Club, so it's not a difficult commute.
Me and just said, hey Dave, we've got this new club, Longwood was new at the time. We've got a new Rotary club, and how would you like to come have breakfast? So all they did was just ask. It was that simple. And the rest is history. Thanks for asking. Sherm, who asked you to join?
About 40 years ago, when I was starting my practice, the chief of surgery at our hospital, the City Avenue, the Osteopathic College of Medicine's hospital, Bob Irwin, was president of this club, and he asked me to come and give a talk on plastic surgery, which is my specialty.
Right.
And I came and gave a talk at the over there at the Bala Golf Club, and then I started getting invitations to other Rotary clubs in the area. So I turned out was going to a lot of Rotary meetings. And then Bob said, "Look, you're going to a lot of meetings already, and we'd love to have you in our club. Why don't you consider joining our club?" The nice guys there, we do a lot of good things, and so I said, "Yeah, that's a good idea. I liked what I saw. A lot of great guys and women too. There's women that joined at that time, and I joined the Bala Cynwyd Club."
Who asked you to join?
Bob Irwin, the president, the then president, who was chief of surgery in our hospital.
Super. George, who asked you to join Rotary?
I had an aha moment.
Aha!
Aha, I said, I just presented a program to the district conference in Malvern 3 years ago, and I walk up to Sherman and Rick and say, you know, this is an organization I've been associated with out here for a long time. I think I want to be on the inside. Will you have me? It took them a long time to figure it out.
2 minutes, 3 minutes? Maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Was that at the district conference? That was at Doug Lacey's district conference, that you gave a fantastic presentation.
RickTrivane behind the camera. Who asked you to join Rotary, sir?
Nick Kiefer.
Tell us about Nick Kiefer.
I had an appointment, I was with Sprint at the time, and had an appointment with Prospect in King of Prussia, and I finished the appointment, and I decided to knock on some doors. And one of the doors I knocked on was Nick Kiefer. And Nick Kiefer was a member of the Rotary Club of Philadelphia. And I, being a past member of the Kiwanis Club in Baltimore, I just moved here a year earlier. I knew about Rotary and the prestige that it was, and knew someday I would never be a Rotarian because you have to own half the town. But he asked me to be a Rotarian. And I said, well, take me to a meeting. And he did. The next week I went to a meeting. They then met at the Ben Franklin Hotel in Center City. And the guest speaker was Billy Cunningham, the head coach of the Philadelphia Sixers, and they had just won the World Championship. So I was very impressed.
Wow.
And I said yes, and that was January of 1979. I was officially inducted.
Wow, that's incredible. Who's the senior most member here?
Sherman.
Sherman? Yeah. So Sherman, let me ask you this question. How has Rotary impacted your life?
Well, I'll keep my remarks limited. But, well, first of all, I met some very nice people through Rotary. Some of the people in this room are very close friends of mine. And I've done a little bit of business with them, but I didn't join Rotary for business. I joined Rotary for the camaraderie, and knowing that Rotary did a lot of good things in the world, and I like the community of being in organizations that do good things. So I enjoy the company, the friends, and part of a greater organization that does a lot of good things in the world. That's the short story.
Yep. Mom, how has Rotary impacted your life?
Something similar. I mean, it's a number of people got to be good friends that over the many years, and as I said, I always felt a continued need to support the club by being here, even though sometimes it's not easy to get away for lunch, but I try to get here every time I can, and hopefully it makes you a better person.
You know, Rotary's impacted all of our lives, and in 5 minutes. Now, sometimes we're nervous about asking, having that conversation. So here's what that conversation looks like. The first question out of your mouth, if you'd like to change somebody's life forever, is, what's going on in your world? And when you ask that question, it's amazing what you'll find out. In 5 minutes, you can find out. If you talk about what's going on in somebody else's world, then we could take Rotary and fit into their world. Whether they've got kids, whether they've got career aspirations, and all we have to do is just ask. So when we fit Rotary into their world, we can make a huge difference in their life in only a matter of 5 minutes. So I would encourage you, whoever your best friend is, whoever your fellow family member is, whoever really you want to make a difference in their lives with, just ask them to consider the possibility. Get in that world of possibility. Get in the world of possibility and ask them to join this organization. And all it takes is 5 minutes. Okay? So here's our theme for this year. You know, Rotary every year's got a different theme, right? So this year's theme is Rotary Serving Humanity. I love this theme. I mean, where is humanity? It's all over. It's everywhere. Yeah. There's a little piece of humanity right here. There's a little piece of humanity here. A little piece over there. A little piece over there. There's a lot of humanity out there as well. Okay? There's a lot of people out there. And in terms of the organization that we've got, when we talk about Rotary Serving Humanity, I think it's one of the greatest annual themes that we've ever had. So truly incredible. So the other theme that I really like is being extraordinary. You know, we are part of an extraordinary organization that's got extraordinary members doing extraordinary things around the world. So I would encourage you to, everything that you do, try to be extraordinary in doing it. It's amazing to me that people are the way they are in Rotary is pretty much the way they are in life. And how they are in life is how they are in Rotary. So be extraordinary for all the things that you're doing with this club. all the things you're doing for other people, and be extraordinary as a person yourself. So thanks for the opportunity to be here today. I've got a couple of things I want to run by you, but I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for being an extraordinary Rotarian. For being extraordinary towards making a difference in people's lives. So you're doing the programming and lots of stuff for this club. Thanks a lot for doing all that good work.
All right, thanks, guys.
Smile there, George. The other person I want to acknowledge, of course, is George. George, if you could come up here for the same thing. Just since you're 3 years in the Rotary organization,
Thanks, Tom.
between Project Cure and everything you've done for everybody, I just want to present you with a similar citation. So thanks for all that you've done, George. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.